One. Welcome, Chris Evans Radio. We are back with little Dave, and it is post Olympia. But before we get into all the shenanigans of what happened there, I sent him a reel yesterday that I'm going to paraphrase. I'm sure I'm going to butcher it, but it's something along the lines of, "You better stop pretending to be crazy or claiming to be crazy, and you hang out with someone who is, but they think it's normal." And I always go back to. You and I don't feel like what we do is abnormal. We have built our brains and bodies to think that that's Thursday or Monday. If someone was to join us who didn't train to that caliber, they would think we're mentally unstable. And the amount of times I know you and I have heard that is endless. Like,
Yeah.
and I mean, I just eye roll at it because I know that it was an evolution to get to where we're at now, but I still had a bit of that when I started, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No joke. I remember back even in the beginning stages of just going to the gym, people were like, why are you doing that extra stuff?
Right.
You know what? And it was just always just like, why are you not?
Yes.
Like I didn't understand that question,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
Or like I to this day, I really have a hard time understanding when people are like, man, I didn't want to go to the gym today.
Same.
When people say that to me, I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck that means.
Yeah.
Like, because I've had days where it's difficult to go to the gym,
Right. Yeah. Yep.
but not days I didn't want to be there.
Right. Yes. Yes. I 100% feel the same way. I mean, I think back to some of like the stupid shit I did as a young kid. Like, I think I've shared this before in the podcast. We used to train our tibia. We would hold 45-pound plates and walk on our heels with our toes dorsiflexed. Like we would just take laps around the track of the gym we were at. And we would trade. Like my buddy would be waiting on me at the end. I'd hand him the plates. You do a lap, you do a lap. And it's after training calves. I remember people would be like, "What the fuck are y'all doing? That's stupid." And I'm like, yeah, like that's a muscle. Why wouldn't you train it? Like, or that one summer, the same guy and I, we did giant sets all summer because Milos came out with this spread in MD and I wanted to do it. I'm like, that's what all his pros are doing? Fuck it. Like, let's sign me the hell up. And there would be guys who would join us and they would tap so fucking fast because they didn't have the gas tank or the heart for it. I'm not saying that Milos giant sets are the way to grow muscle, but I believe in my heart that contributed to me learning pain tolerance and how to deal with it. I think it taught me how to maintain a high heart rate and not panic. Because listen, some of the things that I've had you do, I've done, I make it put in Scorpion, it can give people anxiety if they aren't used to that. Like,
Hmm.
and if you're with us and you're training and you aren't used to the pace, like I think that's what gets most people is like it's just relentless, man. Like it's just you go, I go, we load weight. You go, I go, we load weight. You go, I go, we move to exercise, a different exercise. Like it isn't like, oh, we're going to talk about your day for 13 minutes.
Yeah.
And oh, we just did a hard set of hack squat. We should rest 6 minutes. No.
Yeah. No joke.
Yeah, because
And
it's,
I don't care what the science people say. What no, more rest is better. The amount of people who are using rest as an excuse to browse Instagram
yes. Oh yeah.
blows my mind.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
that shouldn't even be a you shouldn't be capable of even looking at your phone when you're training hard.
Agreed. Yes.
Like hell, if you have your phone out, like hitting next or skip on your fucking music should be about the gist of it.
Yep. Yep. That's one of the main reasons I like having this watch. If I just do it on here, it's literally I have it up on my display screen and I'll just hit bam. I don't even have to look at my phone. Um, what's interesting to me about that is I've always thought this. Those are the same people who will spend 3 hours in the gym, but then complain they can't have time for a nap in a day. And I'm like, if you just trained for 90 minutes really hard, you could have a 90-minute nap post lift after your meal. And I guarantee you your growth would go this way. Because not only am I increasing the stimulus of training, now listen, there's going to be a break-in period where you feel like you're getting your fucking teeth kicked in because you're out of shape. And that's what I always go back to. You just aren't in training shape. And I know that's not sexy to talk about because there's no quantifiable data to prove that. But if you're used to training at a fast pace, a la like Jay Cutler, Branch Warren, after a month you adapt to it. And I've watched like long-term training partners of mine, like I will just butcher them for a month to 6 weeks. And the next thing you know, they're used to it and they can hang in terms of keeping the weight on the bar and not wanting to flop around the fish like on the floor in a dead fish. And I think that is a hard lesson and something for the science community they can't understand because maybe they haven't been athletes. But I mean, I know you were a wrestler, I was a football player. Like those first few, like I'm sure when you had your first live match of the season, you were like, fuck, I'm out of shape. But then by the end of the season, you're like, man, I could cook 6 of these matches in a day and not blink. Like, and all you did was get into what I would consider as like wrestling shape. Like you were probably always in good shape due to your conditioning and off season, but there's a difference in like live game day wrestling or playing football. That's you can't, in my mind, you can't simulate in a practice scenario because the adrenaline's not there, the crowd isn't there. And to me, like when you and I lift, like that's how I view it. It's a game day. And I have 5 of those a week. And some game days are harder than others.
Mhm.
And it's just if you always take that level of intensity to your session, I believe in my heart it becomes what I'm going back to as our starting topic is it becomes normal.
Yeah.
I'm in good shape. You can suddenly do 15 sets in an hour, hour and a half, where it used to take you 3 hours to do 10. And again, like you said, I don't think if you're not super fat, you don't need 6 to 8 minutes between sets. Like,
No. And like you should be able to bring your heart rate back down to normal thing. Like, that's where they talk about heart rate variability, right? That's
yep,
fucking science based right there.
right.
It's the act of doing it what matters more than what you knowing versus doing. Because
Yes.
like it'd be fun to watch throw a heart rate monitor on one of us when we trade.
Yeah,
Because it probably goes up to 170, 180, and then
easy.
drops back down to 90
Mhm.
in a minute and a half.
Right. Yep. Yep. And God forbid you make those guys do some hit cardio in the off season.
Yeah. That's like the best. That's the best way to learn right there.
Without a doubt. Again, that is managing heart rate and refusing to allow this to be mentally weak. Because,
Yeah.
hey, listen, we've all known what it's like. You're like, fuck, man, I have to get 6 more reps, or I have to get 3 more rounds of this hit cardio. And in your mind says, this is horrible, get out of it. And then the other side of your brain has to be like, you say you want this, show me. And
Yeah.
it's an active
Yeah.
decision.
And that's why. Well, it's the fun thing. I mean, like me and you are both like opposite. Like I haven't used the logbook. You don't use a logbook. That's why people use a logbook is like, hey, last week I did 95 for 5. And
Right,
this week I need to do 95 for 5 or more.
right, yep,
And that's because the thing within your head, what says, hey, this is heavy,
right.
you have to say, fuck off. I'm doing better than this because I have goals in my mind, you
Correct.
know? And
Yes.
that's where so many people get lost because they don't use a logbook, they don't do this. And then last week they did 95 for 5, and then they're like, man, this feels heavy. I'm gonna do 90. And they get 5, and it's just like, no wonder you don't fucking progress.
Right.
Taking 5 pounds off the bar wasn't the answer.
No.
You just this failed you.
Right.
Like
Yes.
your body was definitely more capable of doing that. You probably at least could have matched it.
Right.
It's 5 fucking pounds.
I mean, I think, yeah, listen, I know you've experienced this. We've all, people who train hard at least, is you sit back with a weight, and before you even do rep one, you're like, there's no way I'm getting 8. And then you do 10. And it's like, to me, like that's just sheer like willpower and desire. Because to me, as I progress through that set of say 10, the first three you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, just keep the bar dumbbell moving. And then it's like, okay, this isn't as bad as I thought. Oh fuck, I can get 10 of these. And then you just like, to me, it's like you just with each passing rep, I always gain confidence. Um, because you're like, okay, if I did 6, what's 4 more? What's 3 more? What's 2? Find one. All I do is find one. Bam, it's up, gun, rack, game over. And it's like, I think a lot of people just fail to realize that. Like, you and I could sit back with heavy weight and just dump it and be like, fuck that, it's too heavy. Or let's just see what happens today.
I can't tell you how many times in prep I picked up the 150s or the 160s to bench them, and I pick them up and I'm like, this isn't fucking happening today.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
everything hurts. Like, and that's just from the fucking floor. I mean, even
Yes. Oh
bench
yeah.
press it. You know,
Yes.
Then you sit down with the dumbbells and you're like, all right, cool. Well, I either die today or I do this set. Like that's what's gonna happen.
Yes.
You know.
Agreed. Agreed. The amount, because Chaz always likes to know a rough number of what I'm shooting for, so he can like get the right angles and shit. And he always gives me a hard time. He's like, I'm like, how many are you get? Like, 6 or 7, maybe 8. He's like, that was 12.
Yeah, 100%.
I
I
don't know.
can't tell you how many times I've done that to Zach as well.
Right. Yep. Yep.
What number are we shooting for today? I'm like, more than six?
Yeah, right. Again, that's definitely an acquired skill in my mind. And just comes from like maturing as a lifter and not being tied to a rep box. What I always kind of call is like, got to be 8 to 12. Well, so if I do 13, I'm suddenly out of the magic zone of growth. Like that
Yeah.
set was useless, Dave. You did 13 and a half reps.
Yeah. Getting smaller with that.
Right. Like, no, bro. Like that 1.5 extra reps is going to stimulate growth, and that triggers in my mind, hey, cool. Like it's time to take the weight up next week or next set for that, for
Yeah.
fuck's sake, Like it's that's where I think a lot of people who are new to this struggle because they want the blueprint. Chris, give me the exact reps. Well, I don't know how many reps you can get. Like the amount of times I can pick a weight perfectly, even for myself, I don't even know what the percentage of that is.
Yeah.
Like,
I have the funnest time writing training programs because of that. Because I'm like, this is how I want it to flow.
yes.
I
Yeah.
want these specific exercises to be heavier than these ones.
Right.
I want this kind of contraction on these exercises,
Yep.
but the reps and weight all fall to where you put them.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Like just because I write six on a like, okay, cool. I want you to do 6 reps on a bench press. Like some people, that's going to mean they're going to go heavy, and some people they're going to just fucking leave reps in the tank.
Right. Yeah.
Versus like, all right, cool. I want this to be a heavy fucking set of somewhere in above 5.
Yes.
You
Yep.
know,
Yep. Yep.
and if you do a heavy set of 10, fine, cool. I'm
Right.
I'm totally fine with it.
Right. Yeah.
But then when it comes to like the chest flies, it's like I don't care if you go heavy or not. Just make those things fucking cramp.
Correct.
Like
Yes.
if you use a nickel,
Yeah.
and you make your chest cramp on a fly, I feel like that's doing a benefit by the time you get to it.
Agreed. Agreed.
You're doing that's fourth exercise, like you're just pushing as much blood in there. You don't need the PR on, those flies and do, the 200 pounds
No.
for that.
No. And not if you've already done that on your pressing movements. And
Exactly.
that's so hard for people to wrap their mind around. Like, hold on, Chris, like you like progressive overload, volume, and stretching and pump? Yes.
I
Like,
mean, why wouldn't I?
right, right.
That's
Like,
I always ask that question, like,
but
what do you believe in? It's just like all of it works. Why would I not use all of it?
correct.
Like people are like, aren't you low volume or it depends.
Right. Yeah.
Like it really depends. I think some body parts need as much intensity as you legs love intensity.
Agreed. Agreed.
You
Yep.
know, my arms do not love intensity. My triceps do. My biceps, as soon as I get intense with them, I just get front delt and
Yeah.
pain.
Yep. Yep.
And so
Yep.
it's like my biceps are legitimately a product of me just squeezing weights and making it stupid painful.
Right. Yes. I had a question on my YouTube about that. The guy was like, you clearly like progressive overload on some things, but not on all things. How do you delineate which one? And I was like, well, it's just kind of a sense, right? I was like, I haven't progressed in terms of weight on my delts in a decade, but they're bigger and better. On my arms, I think I was actually stronger on arms when I was in my 20s than I am now, but my form, execution, and feeling of them is better and they're bigger. So it's
Yeah.
like, and at the same time, I'll be like, oh, well, on a leg press or a hack squat or maybe an adductor or a leg curl, see how strong you can get, homie. Like, uh, that to me makes logical sense because that's what those muscles always responded well to. Anytime I tried to sling more weight with arms or delts, all it did is go to joint.
Mhm.
Very similar, like I think a lot of times people will see me do leg extensions and they're like, man, that's like middle of the stack. And I'm like, That's where leg extensions always felt best to me. A lot of reps, a lot of pump, a lot of pain. And then I saved my heavy stuff for things that felt great: leg press, hack squat, lunges, some sort of squat variation, Bulgarian split squats, leg curls, adductor. All that shit felt good heavy. So it's kind of like it's an instinctual thing. Like traps, right? Like I can't remember the last time I've trained directly traps.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know it. Oh, it just kind of goes back to one of those things where it's like if people were more intuitive with their body as opposed to looking for an exact replica of someone else's training to try to mirror the result. Now, and listen, I think a lot of people know this about me. I always try to pick up clues from people who have great body parts and people who had bad body parts that went to good. Like, I think good result and end result always leads like signs and keys and truths, and you have to discover what those are. And it may work for you and it may not, but like that's what I've always tried to pick up on is all right, cool. If I'm blowing your back out right now, which your back is improving by the week, I feel like, what can I learn from that? And then how can I apply that with other people? Like I think most don't look at their physique that way, because
Or
the whole
or the
life,
limiting factors too. Like I can't tell you how many people, they're like, man, my chest won't grow. It's like, how's your shoulder mobility? And they're like, oh, I can only rotate my arm to here. Like that's as far as I can go back up. Like I'm stuck here. I can't go anywhere in this range. It's like, why don't you fix that? Like that's stupid. That's not my chest. That's always the pushback.
right?
It's like, what do you have to lose? Like your bench press obviously isn't working for you.
Right. Yes.
That doesn't make any sense. Why this would affect my chest? It's
Yes.
like try it.
Right. I had a really cool conversation with one of my guys this week about something very similar. He struggles with back and feeling it and making it work. And one of the things I'm gonna try to do this on the computer, see if it makes sense. One of the things I need to get him to do is that get him to learn to like let his back open to those are his shoulders, like getting your shoulders there so your back, yes, and then when you come back, get there posturally. He just doesn't do that very well. And I'm like, we have to work that.
Yep.
Well, how do you do that, Chris? Like T-spine mobilization, hanging from a pull-up bar to loosen your shoulders, and then practicing with lighter loads. And then honestly, like just posing. And then what I'm having to do, have him to start is he'll take a PVC pipe and we'll just loosen those shoulders up. We'll take a bar and just row it to where it touches his chest, underhand, do a neutral grip. And I'm like, look, you need to practice just rolling your scapula forward and then bring it together, trying to make your mid trap just eat itself. And he's like, this is so fucking boring. And I'm like, it is now. It
It
won't
won't be
be.
boring when your back's better.
Right. Right. And then what he's discovering is over the course of the first two back sessions that we've done since talking about this, he's like, I'm connected to my back a lot better. I'm like, yeah, because you know how it works now. Shocker, bro.
Yeah, you're using it.
Right. Something I find like very similar, I'm sure you see with clients too, is like the ones who they just don't look good in a depth of a squat or a leg press or a lunge. Their ankle mobility tends to be very poor. And it's like, all right, cool. How hard are you training calves? Half-ass. Do you do anything with dorsal or plantar flexion? Nope. Okay, this is why you suck at that. Moving your
Yeah.
feet higher on the platform is not your answer to bigger quads.
Yep.
You're just making the problem worse. So it's like those little, it's again, it's not fun to do stretching of your ankles. Like that's not fun. I'd much rather be hack squatting. But if your ability to flex and move your ankle joint is preventing you from squatting to depth and placing emphasis on your quads as opposed to your low back glutes and hamstrings, we have to fix that. And a lot of times it's not quick.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the fun part about even writing training programs is like I think a lot of people this goes over their head, but like sometimes the shit you do in training isn't directly for the muscle, but it's for, like you said, hanging on a pull-up bar. What are we doing? Opening up the shoulders. That allows you to train your back.
Correct.
Right. That movement wasn't directly gonna make your back big. Like, it's not exactly a movement forward on your back, but it's a movement forward on the mechanism what starts that.
Correct.
Like it's one of those things like with chest, like that T-spine mobility. right? If you're not able to bring your chest up,
Right. Yep. Yep.
how are you going to do it in a press?
Correct.
So
Yep.
like training that, like that goes into your back training.
Yeah.
Are you doing pullovers?
Right. Agreed.
I can tell you if you're better at doing pullovers, you're going to be better at doing this.
Correct.
And that's where like the fun part with when it comes to like exercise selection, where so many miss the gate. They're like, you only need this, this, and this for your exercises, and then they see like a lot of big bodybuilders, they do some fluff shit. And this is the fun part. That fluff shit isn't for that specific. They're not doing it for that workout. They're doing it for the exercise to feel better,
Correct. Yep. Yep.
which then allows that to progress. They're doing that exercise to do another exercise.
Yes. I know you told this story before. When you started with me, I made you do a shitload of hit cardio. It wasn't because I'm a prick. It's because I needed to ensure that I taught you how to go to the end. And I knew in my heart, if I gave you that, you would have to find it. And guess what that did? It reinforced that in your brain and it made you desensitized to it. The amount of guys who tapped out and said, fuck this shit, it's awful, I'm not doing it, it's pointless. They couldn't see the forest for the trees. I'm like, it's not about the cardio, bro. I am training here and here. And you know, I think I've shared this before, like that's something that my dad instilled in me. Like your brain and your heart power everything. And if I can teach a young kid that early and ensure that he's not scared of finding the pain zone and living in it, that 50 pounds from now, 100 pounds from now, up, we're in a good spot because the foundation is solid as fuck. It's not built on sand, it's built out of fucking gravel. And again, I'm sure if a really smart coach looked at your program and saw how small you were at the time, like, why is Chris having him do this? He's an idiot. Maybe on paper I was an idiot, but I knew in my heart that's what it was going to require to build someone who was capable of what you wanted to achieve.
Yeah. And
And
then it also reinforces the act of wanting it, right?
yes, yeah,
Because, I being who I am, like, do I like doing cardio? Fuck no. Well, that's not something I enjoy. I don't like running outdoors. I don't understand that. Like, I see marathon runners and I'm like, I don't understand why you do this, but I know where you're coming from because I do weird shit because I like doing it too. Like, that
yep,
same marathon runner is working at me and is like, why does this guy want to be 260? It's the same concept,
correct. Yep,
right? But I can get where he's coming from, but I don't understand. The reason I was doing that cardio, right, and I wasn't half-assing it was
right.
because I saw a reason for it.
Yes,
And
yep,
that is something what everybody can take a message to. Like, the anything in your program or what your goals are, do it with intent, what it's making you better, not because you want, like, you don't just get on a cardio in the morning because because you want to do it. You're doing it to better yourself.
yeah,
So
yep,
do it with the intent what you're bettering yourself. The
right.
amount of people I see do hit cardio
Yeah.
where they're able to talk in their 45-second break,
Fuck, yeah,
like that shouldn't even be a thing. If you went hard for 15 seconds,
yeah,
actually sprinted,
yes, yes.
that 45 seconds, you should be gasping for air
Oh, agreed. Yep,
every fucking time. If you can manage to talk to your friend next to you, you're not doing hit.
yeah,
If you can pick up your phone and look at a text message, you're not doing hit.
agreed, agreed.
And that's what it comes down to is that intent for why you're doing it
Yep,
on anything.
yes.
Like what you posted the other day, like your 200 grams of rice on the scale. Could you eyeball his 180 work? Was 220 work? It might not matter. What is that? 3 grams of carbs.
Right.
What
Yep,
matters is that is it a plus on the scorecard or a minus?
correct.
When you get on stage and how many pluses and minuses you had for the fucking year, that's what you're showing off.
Agreed.
You
Yep.
know, the amount of times like, oh, cool, it'd be easy to put 180 grams of rice in here instead of 200. That's one less bite I don't have to eat.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't have to be accurate.
Yeah.
Good enough doesn't build great physiques.
No,
That's that's probably one of my favorite things I've ever heard in my life.
right.
Like we've all heard that in college, like college classes. C's get degrees.
Right. Yep.
C's in bodybuilding get you fucking normal.
Yes. Yep. Agreed. You know, the amount of the amount of comments on that rice video that I posted were like 50-50. And you have really smart people come on there and be like, Chris, if less than a 2% variance, like according to science, like that doesn't matter in the long term. And what those crowd doesn't understand is what you just articulated perfectly. I know that it's 200 grams. I also know if it's not 200 grams. And that's north or south, it doesn't matter. If I write 200 grams on your plan and you do 190 because you feel like you're fat, that is a zero to me. Zero. It's an F. Literally. You made an active decision to not follow the plan. You aren't being more hardcore. Because listen, I'll pull that rice down, as you know better than anyone. I'll pull that bitch out if we need to. If I want 200, I'm going to fucking put it on there. And I think what that crowd doesn't understand, the one where it's close enough, is every action that you do, if you do it close enough, the cumulative score of that is a C, D, or an F.
Yeah.
Every cardio, if I did for 3 seconds less, every work set, I left 2 reps in the tank. Every meal, I was off by 12 grams total. Like all of that bullshit adds up, not only physically, but I believe in my heart. I know, and I may be different than others, that builds my confidence in myself. I destroyed today. I can do 100% out of 100%. And I go to bed and I'm like, you know what? If a better dude beats me, it's cool. If my back doesn't grow, I know I ate everything right and I trained as perfect as I could. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But each time I feel like I don't do that, I whittle away at that confidence and I lose belief in myself, right?
Yeah.
And,
And
and
then long enough of doing that, if you don't have self confidence, the whole plan doesn't fucking work.
right.
You know,
Yes.
if you don't believe in what you're doing,
Yep. Yep.
you're not ever going to be successful.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
I that's been studied everywhere from business to, anything in that side of things. If you don't believe in what you're doing, it's not going to work.
Right.
Thomas Edison fucking making light bulbs the entire time was not making light bulbs. And he's like, I'm going to make one fucking work.
Yes.
If he started that process being like, this isn't going to fucking happen,
Right. Yeah.
after the 20th fucking light bulb, it didn't work, he would have stopped,
Yes. Agreed.
you know? And that's what happens with so many people, especially like this time of year, right?
Okay.
Where we see the drop off in everybody
Yes.
because shit is always more difficult during the holidays,
Yep.
and we let things slide.
Yes.
We let our goals fall away because of Santa Claus.
Yes.
And that's I don't want to judge you, but like, fuck, like, dude, these are your goals,
Right. Yes.
and like Santa's not going to come and give them to you. You have to find them and work for them.
Yes.
You should have learned that when you were like 8.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I always kind of go back to this thought process of like this time of year, and I used to tell some all my in-person clients, this time of year, starting at Halloween, does not give you an excuse to put pause on what we've been accomplishing to this point. And if you choose that option, know that we're going to lose November, December, and we're going to spend all of most likely January through March getting back to where we are right now.
Yeah.
Are you prepared to lose 4 months? And if you are, okay, cool, but don't you fucking complain about it for 1 second. And, it's really funny what you're talking about believing in yourself. I think a lot of that has to do with confidence, right? Of saying no to people is not easy, especially on the holidays, because they don't possess the character trait yet to think my goals are more important than someone else's feelings. And it goes back to what we just said and what my coffee mug says. I don't know if people can read this. It says, believe in your fucking self. Angela got
Yeah.
that years ago because she knew that's something I always struggled with was believing in myself. I believed in the plan, and that's what got me progress. Was like I knew that when I hired Shelby or Matt or John, like I believed in what those men gave me, and that's why my progress propelled. But it wasn't until John passed that I had to find my own way that my physique began to take off. But it's like, Bro, it's you. You have no one else to believe in but yourself. Can you do this? Prove it to yourself. Let's roll. So if you take that same mentality to the season that we're approaching, which is bite-sized candy bars and bullshit and parties and all of that stuff that can easily derail all the hard work you've done, like just say no, thank you, and move on. Most people don't give an absolute donkey fuck. And if they do, they're shitty people, and I'd tell them to fuck right off.
Yeah, no joke. And like it's like what you go back to, you lose 4 months out of the year,
Right.
like that's 66%,
Yes.
like 44% of the year is wasted.
Yes.
And you wonder why progress, what you wanted to do, is not happening.
Yeah.
Like, why do I look the same every fucking year? It's like, okay, cool, because we know why.
Right. Yes.
Like that was your choice.
Right. Yeah. You know what's really interesting? My brother and I had a good conversation about this a little bit ago. Like, so when he had his son, he completely 180'd his life, right? Like he wasn't binge drinking anymore, he wasn't partying, whatever. And he's like, anytime he goes and like he said he hangs out with that same group of friends that he had during essentially all like middle school, high school, college, post college before he had Axel. They're like, you're not any fun anymore. And he's like, oh, so you want me to be an alcoholic again? Like, what are you wishing here? Oh,
Right?
I'm sorry that I took all my effort and energy that I put toward drinking, partying, and getting laid, and I'm applying it to running and filming now. Like, and I'm completely sober. Like, I'm like, bro, you should. I was like, you should never have to apologize for things. Like, they make me feel terrible about it. And I'm like, they didn't see the fucking aftermath of what would happen when you did that behavior. They just enjoyed the fun party chess, right? In the moment, not like what you had to feel like all the next day of just being hungover and feeling like garbage and, God knows, getting in trouble doing all types of random shit. Like, and it just kind of makes me laugh because I feel like people view food the same way. They're like, oh, God forbid you take accountability and you're not going to eat cookies and donuts until you can't see straight. Like, oh, you're gonna eat out of Tupperware at Wendy's? Yeah, I am.
Yeah. And it's like that's the fun part about bodybuilding is it's legitimately that. Like I have yet to see, like if that is your goal, like the dude winning the overall winner at fucking Derek, just won the Olympia. What we just saw this weekend.
Yeah.
He had to say no to a lot of things to have the yes of winning the Olympia.
Yep. Yep.
Like how many, I bet you he woke up a lot of times during the year and be like, man, instead of meal one, I would really like to go eat at Denny's.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
if he did that every fucking time, he wouldn't be winning the Olympia.
Nope. Not a bit. And I think that's really hard for a lot of people to come to terms with because they think people like that or like us, we have no moments of like, it would be a lot easier if I did fill in the blank. Yeah, it would be a lot easier when we all went to the pumpkin patch yesterday for me not to pack a meal. Right? It'd have been super simple. All to see what they have there. You know what they had to eat there? Fucking donuts, funnel cakes, cotton candy, apple cider. Like, that's not a meal.
Yeah. It's that. I mean, I just sent him an email to a client and said, dude, if your goal is to be something other than like, he's not even wanting to be a competitive bodybuilder, but he,
Right.
he wants to be lean and he wants to have abs year round.
Yeah. Right.
And we brought him down, we got him abs, and like, and he had a weekend where he was just like, fuck it,
Right.
and I was like, dude, that's totally fine. Like, if you want to eat like a normal person,
Yeah.
eat like a normal person, but realize the normal person in America doesn't have abs,
Nope.
they're not lean, and they have a fucking ton of health issues.
Correct.
So, like, if you want to eat like a normal person, feel free, but you're taking those three as a yes.
Right.
Like, you could probably stay lean, you could probably have abs, but you're going to have health issues,
Yes.
right? Or you're not going to have health issues, you're going to be fat and you won't have abs.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
figure it the fuck out. Like, you could probably, we could throw a fuck ton of trend in the mix for that kid, and you can keep your peel like lean as fuck.
Right.
Will
Yeah.
you die? Probably.
Yes. Yes.
But doing it, he's natural too. So it's like
Good
You're
luck.
gonna have to do different things if you want to be different.
Right.
It's not what you have to be. Like, you might have to be the weirdo at some situation. You go to a music festival and bring a Ziploc bag of frozen chicken with you, so you have a meal with you
Yep.
past security. That's it's weird, but it's not out of the norm for your goals.
Yep. Yep.
And that's what this all boils down to. Like, if you have the goal of being a competitive bodybuilder, like probably the viewers of this podcast, right?
Yep.
You're gonna have to eat fucking chicken and rice.
Correct.
You're not gonna be able to go eat. Okay, cool. I'm gonna have donuts and a protein shake because the macros match. It's like, yeah, that's gonna get you really fucking far.
Right.
You can have that, but you're probably not gonna have good digestion too.
Right.
You
Yes.
know,
Yep. Yep.
and that's where that exists. Is the reasons you do things is because of your goals.
Yeah. Yep.
And when that gets muddled, if you don't know what your goals are and you don't believe in yourself, it's a wash. Like, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Right. I had one of the guys came up to me at Elite last week. He's like, God, Chris, you're still super lean. How hungry are you? And I'm like, I'm pretty hungry. And I'm like, he's like, that doesn't drive you crazy? I'm like, man, I've been hungry for 30 weeks. Like, I'm like, you just have to come to terms and say, if you want your skin to have this texture, you're going to have to be hungry. And
Yeah,
I said, I fought it for many years as a young bodybuilder. Like, and the older I get, I understand, like, you just have to be a little hungry all day.
yeah,
Like, and that's actually a good spot for your digestion to be in. Like,
yeah,
there's going to come a point in my off season when I start a push phase where that hunger will dissipate. But for right now, like, I need to ride that. And I know you've said that before. Like, the goal for a rebound for me is to be hungry from start until the health phase. And if I can do that, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. Because the worst thing is like you get to the end of your rebound, you're like, I don't want to look at food for one more day. And then you pull your food back for your health phase or for your off week. And then when you reintroduce that food, it's like, oh, fuck, that's a lot. And it's not I've been there. It's not fun. Like,
yeah,
then it comes back to like every 2.5 to 3 hours. It's like, all right, find a way to get it down, motherfucker. It's a lot more stressful in the body than if I'm like, hell yeah, it's 10:30. I got to eat at 11 and I'm going to rip through that meal.
yeah. I preach that with everybody going through a rebound. Like, the longer it sucks, but the
Yeah.
longer you can maintain being hungry.
Yes.
Like, if you have problems with like control with food and all you do is go to snacks,
Yes.
you obviously need more food.
Yes.
But if
Agreed.
the problem is just being like moderately hungry between meals,
Yeah.
because God knows you're not eating, you're not, and we're not saying you need to eat prep food. Like, fuck, your carbs the other day were over 1,000. The reason why you're hungry is because your body's being efficient.
Yes. Yep.
If you slammed 8 donuts this morning, I can bet you tomorrow, if you try to eat 1,000 grams of carbs,
Oh, yeah.
you're gonna feel like shit.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yep.
And that's why we don't do that.
Right.
Is
Yes.
so we have room to push when we need to.
Right. Yep. Yep. And I think what a
And
lot of people go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, that's where I was going. Like, that's the thing, is like, that hunger is meaning your body's working.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're gaining weight at a steady clip,
Mhm.
you know, increasing through that rebound,
Yep.
and you're still hungry and your food's increasing week,
Yep.
increasing, your weight's increasing, like, why would we, keep adding food?
Correct.
It's fucking working.
Yeah.
And then when that weight stalls, we add some and we keep going at that route,
Right.
versus so many people are like, I need to add food so I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
And their scale weight goes whoop, and then it flatlines and they have nowhere to fucking go.
Yep.
And most of that weight was also not muscle.
Oh, yeah. Water and fat.
So they feel good for about a month. And
Yes.
then the person what did it the right way, where they, increased based off the trend, not based off their feelings.
Right.
You know, uh, 2 months down the line, they're still making progress in the gym
Yep.
and they're putting on muscle. They outweigh the person who did it the wrong way, and they're leaner.
Yes. Yes.
And it's like, why would you not invest in that coin?
Right. Oh, agreed. And that's a tough pill to swallow because people chase that like satiated feeling. And fun fact, you're never fully full. Like, I could probably sit down and eat four of my meals back to back and be like, nah, that's not bad. Eventually, that's going to hit a wall, like you said, and I want to be able to do that. And then it goes to 3 meals and 2 meals, and now I'm struggling to get 1 meal down. That is not the side of the fence I want to be on because I've been
Mhm.
there and it sucks. Like I always encourage anyone who's going through that, like when you eat a meal, and I'm talking like by the time you get to good sized meals where you're like say 50 grams of protein, 80 to 100 grams of carbs, and 10 grams of fat. That's a good sized meal. I'm not saying it's huge, but it's in the moderate range for each someone like you and I. If you're still ravenously hungry, hit a bunch of water, drink a diet soda, and just chill for a minute. And the next
Yeah,
thing you know, you're like, okay, I'm actually in a good spot. That was just my brain saying more, more, more. It wasn't the fact that my stomach's not actually full.
yeah.
And
Well, and then after you've experienced that, like that's my favorite thing when I'm in that rebound when I, eat a meal and I'm like fucking hungry after. I'm like, that means when I do go eat my pre-lift meal, I don't feel bogged down.
correct.
My
Yes.
training's gonna be fucking awesome.
Right. Yes. Yep.
Versus like we've all been there in the off seasons where you eat your pre-workout meal and you're like, an hour and a half goes by and you're like, how is this not digested?
Right. Yes.
And then you get to the gym and you're like, you're fucking heavy, and you're like, nothing, like you're like, oh man, I feel all of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, which one do you want? Like, I'm definitely gonna shoot for the one where I'm like, I feel fucking great in the gym.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't get into bodybuilding because of just fucking food.
No. No.
I got into bodybuilding because I like fucking training. So like if I feel good at training and I'm eating a good clip of food, I am taking that route.
Here's something you just said that so many people don't realize. And I think it's because you and I don't correlate prep as a time to be have shitty workouts. You and I have exceptional workouts until almost the very end. And we know that at that point, our food is pulled back. So it's like, oh, we can actually train harder with less food. So it's like, if you aren't scared of being mildly hungry in training, when you get into the rebound phase, and I'm like, oh, I'm still mildly hungry, even though I had 300 grams of rice and 8 ounces of chicken, this is a great spot to be in.
Yeah.
Because then you train, you feel light, you don't feel like you're like going to get sick or you're not like farting your face off or burping, feel like you're going to take a shit in the middle of the session. And then you go home and it's like, man, I am so hungry for my post lift meal. And you eat that, you take a quick nap, you wake up and you want to eat the fucking world. Guess what that is? That's an optimal scenario to grow.
Yeah, your body has no choice at that point.
Yep.
It's processing food, you're recovering better, you're training better.
Yep.
Like in what, and that's like the thing is like so many people like they miss that point of you are what you absorb, not what you eat,
Right.
right? Like in that category, like if you're like you're fucking full and you go fucking train, you're shitting your brains out. You take your pre-workout and you're just immediately on the toilet. It's like how much of that food are you actually using and what's just going to waste,
Correct.
you
Yep.
know? And you probably don't want to be at that position because that's where a lot of like digestive issues happen.
Yes. Agreed.
And you keep compounding that, and it's like, all right, cool. Let's pull back into a diet phase and help. Like, you can't fix guts in the off season with food high.
No,
It
no.
doesn't work
Not one bit.
because you can't stress the digestive system and fix it.
No.
Like that makes zero fucking sense,
Right. Yes.
And so like if you start a prep from that position where your food's high as fuck, but you're not absorbing any of it,
Yeah.
and you pull back a decent clip of food, you don't lose any weight. Whoa, what? And it takes your body 3 weeks to just recover your digestion. It's like that's 3 weeks of wasted time.
Correct. Agreed. Agreed. And I think it's something that a lot of people don't understand is they assume that like mini cuts in the off season is a good thing. And I'm like, imagine if we never needed a mini cut. That's
Exactly.
6, 8, 12 weeks more of progress that we could have been going this way with food and this way with training. Now, I'm not saying training declines in a mini cut, but it won't definitely be as progressive as it could be. Um, so I think I've said this before. Like my first 10 years, 12 years of bodybuilding, I didn't even know what mini cut even meant. Like you're in the all season, you smash food, you smash weights, and you grow. You
Yeah.
get the fat off, you diet for a bodybuilding show, and you move on. Like there was none of this like, oh, let's get peeled for a vacation for 8 weeks. Like
Yeah.
no. If you were in the all season, you went to your vacation fat or bodybuilding fat, so to speak. Like, I don't know. It's kind of funny to me when I think about like how things have evolved thanks to Instagram and that. But
Yeah, very true. And well, that's like the crazy thing is like so many people are like, oh, I need a mini cut because my performance is suffering. It's like, have you ever thought what your performance is suffering because your diet sucks dick?
right, yes,
Like you just told yourself it does because you need a mini cut.
yes, yes.
Something was not working. It's like maybe eating Chipotle 5 times a week isn't the key.
Oh yeah,
That's
doing
why if
100
you need a
minutes of
mini cut to
control.
pull back every fucking time you increase food, like take a gander at how you're increasing your food and realize there's something fucking wrong there.
Right. Yep. So that group always does this to me too. They not only do they eat like garbage, but they want to take their drugs north. So they're like, well, I'm eating Chipotle and Five Guys, and I'm taking 100 megs of Anadrol, and I took my test up to a gram. And I'm like, huh, I wonder why you aren't hungry.
Yeah. And then they do that. What's that? The megastrol acetate. They're
Yes.
like, I took this, progesterone drug, what makes me fucking starving. It's
Yeah.
like, great. That's going to work on, it's legitimately a progesterone. Like, good luck with the estrogenic side effects that come with that.
Right. Yes. Yeah. No fucking thank you. Like, I'm like, if you just cleaned your diet up and if you want to increase some drugs a little bit, maybe double your growth hormone and see what happens. Like, oh, that's far too logical, Chris. Stop it. Like, orals and bad appetite, they're married. So
Yeah.
I wonder why. Oh, yeah, because being toxic sucks dick, which is why we hate poor eating in the off season. So yeah, I'm gonna not go on a rant here for
End of rant.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was done. Olympia, what was your the biggest takeaway you had, and what was the most shocking moment you had through the course of prejudging and finals?
Honestly, I loved how well Hottie came back for finals.
Oh, agreed. I thought they were
That
going
was
to give it to him.
awesome. That was awesome to see. And that was Derek showed up for prejudging. And like I don't think people realize this, like how much further ahead he was in prejudging than everybody.
Agreed. Yeah,
Like he was so fucking on point there.
yeah, agreed.
And I every year people are like, Derek's biceps are full of oil.
Mhm.
And it's like, cool. What about the rest of his fucking body?
Right. Yeah.
Like, why does he turn around and blow everybody off the fucking water?
Yes.
Like this is not the best bodybuilding bicep category.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. That's one body part.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like everybody wants someone else to win. I thought Hottie had it in finals,
I did
you
too.
know, but he didn't have it at prejudging,
No.
and
Yep.
that's why he lost. That's why he took second. And
Yes.
so many people don't want to like look at it that way. It's like those judges do know what they're doing,
Yes.
and also like I wasn't there in person, but I've seen it in person before. And a body in motion is not a picture.
No, it's not.
And that one is always funny to see because Derek looks very different moving around than he does in a camera.
Yes.
And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Yeah.
Like I see side by sides of him next to other people. They're like, well, like Samson beats him in this shot. It's like, did you see him when he was moving? Like you can even tell that a little bit like in the live stream, but like the photos don't do it as much judges. Like do yourself a favor and go look up like Flex Lewis or Dalen Bailey where they were like filming from like 3 feet away, and then you can see like the graininess of the individuals.
Yes.
And you're like, why don't I see that in photos?
Right. Yep. Yep.
And the judges are right there looking at the real thing.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. I don't believe in conspiracy theories, by the way, for the most part,
Yeah,
when it comes to bodybuilding, at least. Because the storyline of having Samson fourth would make no sense if it was a conspiracy theory, right? Like,
yeah,
I think that was my biggest shock. I don't know. Him or Nick was probably my biggest shock of the Olympia weekend.
yeah.
I mean,
I
I think
think the last couple weeks, Nick must have accidentally switched his retatrutide with his GH, and he was just pinning bottles of retatrutide and not GH. He
yeah,
went from taking 1.5 milligrams of Reta and 10 units of GH to taking 10 units of Reta and 1.5 of GH. That's my laugh of the day.
yeah,
But the like that was I just felt bad when he came out at prejudging. I was like, that dude is off.
yeah, yeah. I said it in my story on Friday morning, as I said, because listen, I caught a ton of shit for saying Nick was going to win on that post, right? And not to say that I'm the best predictor of bodybuilding shows, I don't think that, but I've been around this sport for a long time. And my thought was this: if he nailed it, that's the only way that was going to work for him. Like he had to be dry and hard, he had to be full as a house, and he had to keep his stomach glued to his spine. Like, and his margin of error was the smallest because his shape is the worst in terms of the top six. And it's just a perfect example of someone who, to me, he looked like it was a long season and they tried to push too hard at the end and his inflammation was high. That's what it looked like. I could be completely wrong, by the way. That's just a pure
Yeah, yeah.
speculation.
We have no idea what happened back behind the scenes.
Right. He looked like
But I
someone.
agree with you 100% on that. Like his body looked like he ate carbs and they didn't want to stick because he was inflamed.
Correct. Yep. It looked like someone who needed 3 days of just like chilling. And what's funny is I bet if he like takes a break, eats a decent amount of food, he'll probably look wild. Like,
Yeah, expect the post like Wednesday. He's gonna look like a fucking freak.
yep. And all the stress of the show's gone. Like, because what people don't understand, if they aren't at that level, when you come out and say you're the best in the world, that's a lot of pressure. Like, I don't care who you are. I don't care how resilient you are mentally, even if you're Phil Heath, who has all the confidence in the world. What people don't realize is Nick's never won the Olympia. He's won the Arnold, but when you say you're going to win the Olympia and you step out on stage, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
And when you're the fan favorite, I mean, you can listen to the crowd at the athletes meeting in the conference. He is the crowd favorite. Everyone was cheering for him. Everyone wanted to see him dominate.
yeah.
And you come out and you get in the first call up, but you're on the ends, and you just watch him deflate. So it's like, like it just I think that's the most. We watched it with Martin in Pittsburgh, right? Same scenario.
Yeah.
Touch off, something was off, something wasn't right, and then you just watch his physique just wither, right? And you know,
And
again,
his attitude coming to the Olympia was way different than, like his backstage interviews with forgot his name. But he was like, "Oh man, I'm in the top 10," and he's just fucking ecstatic, just stoked to be there. Versus like Pittsburgh, he was absolutely livid when he was, like you could see what just not being in first, he was super fucking pissed off.
yeah, yeah,
And that's what I mean. He got so much better for Saturday just because he was excited
yes,
in a
agreed,
positive way.
right, yep. And then I mean, I think the next storyline for me is like Samson looking so downsized.
Yeah,
And again, this is going to sound like me talking shit again, but it's like that's just mismanagement of running too flat for too long.
yeah,
And I know people will say, "Oh, he melted muscle away," and he may have melted muscle away. Clearly, he wasn't. He was better on Saturday than Friday, but he still looked downsized significantly. And that's a lesson that John told me on early in life. When I saw that, I was like, God, he needed John in that moment because chasing deep glutes isn't worth losing quads and chest.
yeah,
And no one told him that,
yeah.
right? Like, because what you hear is be peeled, be peeled, be peeled, be peeled. But when people say that, they expect you to be peeled, but at the same size you were. It isn't be peeled and downsized. It's be peeled and be full of the fucking house.
Like Martin did.
Correct. Yes.
That's how you be peeled. You
Yes.
don't, and I can tell you what he definitely got there and then pulled back.
Yes.
He wasn't riding the peel line all the way to stage.
Correct. Right. And if you listen to Samson's interviews in the past, what he's always said was, I don't need that much food to carb up. Okay, so if you take that previous data, you're now leaner and tighter, and you think, oh, I don't need that much food to fill up. I'll be good. I want to show up shrink wrapped. What happens is you have a deflated muscle. A deflated muscle also looks less conditioned.
Yeah.
It is a beyond that is, I'm not saying his wife isn't a master of that, but when when you don't do that for a living, it's a little harder because you don't have the body of work, right? Like you take someone like Aceto or John or Chad Nichols or Hani, they've seen that scenario thousands of times. And oh yeah, they also don't have any emotion towards that's my husband, that's how my bills are paid. that's a tough reality, right? That's
Yeah,
tough to hear. And she may be the right person for it. They may have just miscalculated shit, and who knows? And I may be completely off, but that smaller downsized look was not the one. Because
no,
they were like, "Oh, did you see Samson?" I'm like, "Man, he looks small." I'm like, "What? Have you seen his videos?" Yeah, I did. I'm like, "He's definitely leaner, but he is not bigger." Like, and to
yeah,
me, like Andrew looked like a giant compared to him standing side by side.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the sad part. Like
Yeah.
people are like, if anybody who said Samson was going to win, take the top four lineup. It's like, how are two guys who are 5'5" and weigh 240 outsizing a man who's 6 foot 300?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, that's 60 fucking pounds, and they look the same size.
Correct.
Like, you did something wrong.
Yes. Yep. Yep. I think he'll always have that look of like not fully dialed, but big as a house. Like that's going to be his winning formula, right?
Yeah,
Because his structure and shape is so much bigger and better and superior to Derek and Hottie. You're gonna have to play that card,
yeah,
or you're gonna have to gain 40 more pounds of muscle. That's the other option. Or you're gonna have to refine the peaking process, which I mean, the good news for someone like that is he's not scared to compete. So maybe they'll figure that out.
yeah,
I know that he also likes to be a little bit more lower on the drug side. Like, so, I mean, I know him and Milos had a falling out, but if you take some of those Milos principles of filling up at the end, like, I think what's interesting is when you look back at that, he was in a new spot in leanness that he'd ever been. So almost they didn't know how to manage that scenario of like, okay, cool, now all the fat's off. Now, how do we play that game of keeping the fat down while not letting you go stringy? And I know I'm saying that to a dude who's over 280. But if you compare his winning Olympia look to this one, you'll see what I mean. Like
yeah.
it's not even remotely the same. Um, and I think to me, the loss of size was not worth the 1 to 2% condition gained. Um, so yeah, the tough thing to swallow. But Andrew was my favorite of the show. Like, I'm like, man, he really made some good progress there.
Yeah, yeah, he definitely well, that's the one where like the conditioning actually worked.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
like he
Yeah.
did exact him and Samson had the same fucking problem,
Yeah.
and Andrew actually fixed it.
Yes. Agreed.
You know, Samson changed his problem.
Yes. Yeah.
He gave himself a new problem, you know, and Andrew just fixed his problem.
Right. And again, I don't want to be jaded, but I mean, I think it goes back to him and Aceto just banging away. And Chris, like, we're going to figure this out.
Yeah.
We have to balance pilled and full with a physique that big. And
And
the
Chris
Olympia,
also isn't afraid of using food.
no,
You know,
no.
how many times he's been like, we've seen it be like, all right, Reagan, go have some fucking muffins with an
Right.
S, not singular muffin,
Right. Yeah.
muffins.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's weird that you would almost be immune to it and not see that around you. Like,
Mm,
and I'm not of the same caliber of, I don't necessarily believe that big guys need different diet plans, but there can be the bigger the athlete, the bigger the swing can be for flat and full, right?
yeah,
I mean, you take someone like you who is on stage anywhere between 220 and 230, your swing of fullness can dictate you looking like you're 210 or 240. And if I push you too hard too long, then you begin to get soft and your condition starts to dwindle. So it's like you can't do too much either way. And then on the flip side, like if you don't stay ahead of it, then I have to feed you so aggressively that your just stomach distension starts to come in to play.
mhm,
And every guy who's on the Olympia stage has to deal with that. Because once you're above 215, 220 on a bodybuilding shit stage, the amount of food you have to be able to tolerate and not get distended, that's a skill in itself.
yeah, exactly. I mean, when your off-season intake is above 5,000,
Right.
like
Yeah.
you're not a bikini athlete who can carb up with a singular rice cake.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. And that's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of guys, right? They're like, I want to eat 250 grams of carbs, but then can you pull your stomach in on the front double? And you either can or you can't. So, which is why I'm always a big believer in it's that the yin and yang also goes into knowing the athlete about how far I can swing that pendulum. Like how flat
Yeah,
can I make you to where we can come back with what I would consider a reasonable carb up. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, the Olympia, it was wild. I think another cool story was watching Dino win Classic. Like, and that goes to show you that like cheating your height definitely has an impact.
100%. He was definitely, yeah, he was definitely a little on the stringy side
Correct.
because like he wasn't coming back. As I mean, if you got an extra 10 pounds, I mean, it's easier to come back from.
Oh, agreed. Agreed. Yeah, I mean, I saw it the most in Mike's legs. Like
Yeah,
it didn't have that same pop and fullness. And I guess when you're 10 pounds heavier, of course it doesn't. Um, so I mean, I'm glad they reinforced the rules. I'm sure him and Neil were pissed off because that's kind of like a different scenario, I guess, if they knew earlier.
yeah,
But I don't know. I think the thing that felt like really shitty to me was like they have him on video saying he knows he's not the height that he was claiming.
yeah,
So it's like, time to pay the piper, homie. That
yeah,
spiky hair is it? You're gonna push that thing down.
yeah.
So yeah. Any other cool things you saw or want to talk about from the Olympia?
Um, Other than like in women's bodybuilding, that Ashley Jones is
Oh my
fucking a
word.
freak.
I know, right?
Like they need like that needs to be studied. The like that and Keon, like holy fuck, that we need to like figure out what those genetics are because it's just like I'm not saying they don't work hard in any way, shape, or form. Like they both work their asses off, but their shape structure is something that's just out of this world.
Agreed.
And it really makes me wonder how many people are out there like that, which just don't ever do bodybuilding,
Yes. Yes.
and like that just gets me kind of excited for moving forward. Like there's gonna be someone out there who's just like that,
Yes.
and what it's gonna come from that.
Right. My takeaway from this weekend that I think not a lot of people are talking about is how much improved Sean Clarita looked
Yeah,
because he was overshadowed by how great Keon is. Like,
yeah,
I can't remember what Sean's age is. I mean, I know he's in his 40s, but man, like watching his progress on stage in comparison and knowing he switched coaches
yeah.
is wild to me.
I actually joked about that with some friends like about how well he improves because he's not being coached by Matt's wife,
Yes.
and like the reality of that is like the your coach obviously matters, right? Because it's that same thing, that belief in the plan,
Right.
and that plan also has to fucking work,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
I can't think of any like person better as example of someone who follows the fucking plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's already fucking trained. He's already trained legs since the Olympia.
Yeah.
He's already back on his fucking diet.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
I don't think he probably didn't even have a real cheat meal.
No, I bet no.
He probably had like meat and potatoes. You know,
Yeah.
and he definitely wasn't like I'm gonna make a fucking weekend out of this. He's like he was back in the fucking gym. Fucking Sunday.
Yep.
You know, and John Jewett's a great person to have in his corner because
Right.
they operate the same way. They don't fuck around.
No.
And
Yeah.
when you pair those together, you just get an awesome product. Like
Agreed.
in all reality, I just see him improving upon that look we had this year.
Oh, I do too.
And I know Keon's got to be fucking wondering what that means for him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that is great to have someone pushing someone who is honestly the best in the world.
Yeah. 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 Anytime I see someone like Sean post, I think he said like 364 days till Olympia
Yeah,
2026, and it's him training legs in a hood and pants on and not
yeah,
in stringer tank and short shorts.
yeah,
I'm like, that is a man who is ready to rip the world apart.
yeah,
And it's like you said, like I think I text you this, or maybe I text Chris, I can't remember. Like I know he was with Boss after Matt for a while, and that was an okay look. But knowing John Jewett's approach is very, very. I'm not saying him and John were similar, meaning John Meadows, but they are both very calming demeanor. Do you know what I mean? Like if you watch John, he's very analytical, where John Meadows was very what I would consider logical. And both of those men like did a great job of just like they always keep their senses in check, and it's always like not too high, not too low, and just right in the middle. And when I saw him finally pair up with Jewett with both training and nutrition, I was like, that's going to work so well. Um, because John Jewett's attention to detail matches Sean's, you know? And when you have two men with a singular goal and a purpose, it's the thing I've always told you. That's why you and I work well together. We have a singular mission together, me to make you your best and you to follow the plan as closely as possible. And when that happens, man, like, oh my word, like he's gonna get better, and I know it. And because I think they live close in proximity, like being able to see him live and in person, go train with him. Like if he sees something like on say a video check-in that he wants to fix, he's like, "Fuck it, let's just go fix it." Like you can't do that if your coach lives overseas. Like, and that's an improved level of service. Like I,
Yeah,
I've
that
go
I've
ahead.
always wondered how hot he functions with his coach. Because
Yeah.
like that's in a different time zone,
Right.
a language barrier,
Yep.
and an entirely different like the food choices are completely different. Like meat and rice definitely are there, but like the vegetables he has access to
Yes.
different. The meat quality he has different.
Yes.
Like I don't know how like that one's got to be such an interesting one when he's like with the language barrier to have a translator be like, "Hey, I need you to eat this, this, and this," and someone has to fucking translate that. I'm not saying that doesn't work. Hottie fucking comes in on point, but that's next level shit. What you probably didn't realize was happening.
Agreed. Agreed. So yeah, man, another Olympia's passed. Hopefully that's fired everyone up to get better.
Yeah,
I always encourage my athletes to watch it, watch their class, and see, hey, one, do I fit into that category? If not, why? And then do I need to look elsewhere? Meaning, is it time to get out of classic and go to bodybuilding?
yeah,
Is it time to get out of men's physique and go to classic? Is it time to graduate from bikini to figure? Fill in the blank.
yeah,
Because to me, like those people who are winning is what I would view like the standard. And if you don't resemble that standard, either A, how are you going to fix it? Or C, am I in the right class?
yeah.
And then come up with a game plan to rectify that scenario. So
Yeah. Well, I wanted to point back to that Ashley Jones. I did research. I did not know who she was until I watched this Olympia. So like, I had to look her up. But she competed at the Olympia in figure. She competed at the Olympia in physique, and now she's doing it in women's bodybuilding.
right.
You know why? She moved up. She's in figure. She didn't place as well as she did at the bodybuilding. In physique, she didn't place as well as she did in bodybuilding. She's winning in bodybuilding because she realized she's like, I am done with this class and figure. I cannot improve the way I can.
Yep. Yep.
And if I do improve, I'm not winning.
Correct. Yep.
And
Yep.
I thought that was the coolest thing, like legitimately the coolest thing.
Yes. Yep.
She didn't make force her body into a class. She found the class what her body was made for and just got to work.
Yes. Yep. I saw that. I got to witness this live with Kina. Always, always. So she started in figure, then we went to physique, and then like, I mean, man, she was third-ish call out of a physique pro show, which is okay. She was always the most peeled. Always. Like there wasn't one show where I was like, we would go like, you're definitely the most peeled. Why am I losing? Well, you're this and your shape and you're that. And when we were posing with Kenny one day and he said, you should do bodybuilding, she freaked out and had a panic attack. And I was like, what's the worst that happens? You can't place any lower. Like, I mean, you could get fifth call out, I guess, but I mean, you're not in the first call out, so fuck it. Like, and then she's like, okay, cool, embraced it, goes to Chicago, wins Masters, goes to Chicago, places top five. I'm like, you think we're good? And she's like, yeah. She's like, I think I'm gonna come watch the women's physique. I'm like, why? Why would you want to? I want to see where I'd place. We know where you're gonna place in bodybuilding. Why look back? It's only this way. You're just gonna start. We're gonna start growing now. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And like sometimes it goes back to, that you see like I can't imagine being Ramon or Mike Summerfield
Yeah.
where they're already at the top of their weight class,
Oh, yeah.
and for them to improve, they have to go backwards.
Yes. Yep.
They can't get out of the show and do what Sean did. Be like 365 days to the next show. They can say it, but they need to detrain
Yes.
and then retrain to be the same fucking weight they were last year
Correct.
with different body part strengths.
Right. Yep.
You
Yep.
know, and I can't imagine being like, I need to get better for next year. Let's take 3 months of not fucking training hard to start.
Right. Yep.
You know,
And you mirror that with eating like a bikini girl.
yeah,
Like, oh my, I only get 4 ounces of meat. God, I remember, I can't remember, I saw an interview with, it was like Shawnee and Flex Lewis, and they're like, oh, if you don't keep his calories under 3,000, he grows. Yeah. I can you imagine if I told you in the off season, Dave, like, all right, we're gonna keep your calories at 2,500. You can't exceed that in a day, or you're gonna get too big. I pray you would fire me.
yeah, I would definitely have a rough time with that.
And I guess I just don't care. Even if you're on the cusp of winning the 212 Olympia, I feel like I just be like, I am holding this body back. Stop it. Like, let's just get better and grow and see what the fuck happens. Like, because we can always suck muscle off. Like, I guess it's my thought process. If you wanted to melt muscle, we could do it. But if you're resisting the urge to grow, and listen, we all know who's been bodybuilding long enough when your body is in a growth state. To me, I never want to slow it down. I want to see
Yeah,
how long I can stay in that perfect window. But I guess I'm just too much of a bodybuilder at heart.
yeah, agreed.
All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a longer version of nutrition, training, and Olympia talk. So until next time, Chris, Dave, we are done.